Yeah, two there, Dr. Sanders. Yeah, Clark. Yeah, I know about 4, 5. Everyone in the room now?
Welcome, everyone. The meeting will start shortly.
Huh?
Yes. Right, because I was. Flash a little less. I was talking about like people might couldn't get
Evening, everyone. My name is Donnie Hayes. I'm the Parks and Recreation Director for the Fairbanks North Star Borough. We sure appreciate each of you coming out and giving your time to hear a little bit more about the feasibility study for the North Star Community Recreation Center, as we are generally calling it at this moment. This evening, we're going to be spending a fair amount of time talking a little bit more about feasibility process, our expectations of what we're trying to accomplish, and then also trying to give you guys a little bit of a view of the future holds. This is step one of a very long process. This isn't something that's going to happen overnight, but we definitely feel that it's important to have community feedback to be able to address the recreation and wellness needs of our community. So we really do appreciate you guys each coming and spending some time with us this evening. This time I will turn the mic over to Tracy from Bettisworth North, and then I'll be back in just a few moments.
Thanks, Donnie.
Ben might say a few words. Does that sound good? Ben is here representing the steering committee that the Fairbanks North Star Borough Public Works put together to represent the community members. And so Ben will speak on their behalf.
I would say the process, Donnie, starts even before today. This was step one. Step one for me started 4 or 5 years ago, actually, when we started to get a discussion going about multi-use facilities and replacing single-use assets and trying to figure out how you make a change like that. And so in terms of a few years back when the CIP program came into existence, there was an opportunity that a group of us and several different other groups got together. We put money towards this exact project in terms of like studying the assets that we have in Fairbanks, looking at them from the standpoint of the littlest user to the oldest user. My mom's 86, she loves Mary Sy. My niece is learning how to swim so that when she goes into the lake, she's not gonna drown. Like my vision of this is community wellness from birth to death. And again, Tracy probably 3 years ago got to listen to me over a glass of wine with a friend of mine talk about this concept, and like it's everywhere in all these different communities. And Fairbanks deserves to have something like this, even though at the time it wasn't very formal, but now it's more formal, and it's super exciting to be here with everybody and having the community to kind of talk through this discussion of assets for purposes of wellness, sports and athletics and recreation and affordability. And so anyways, I'm part of 12 members of the community that have been selected to support this discussion. We'll be participating in month-long meetings with the borough, taking feedback and sharing it, and hopefully coming up with some ideas that actually can work in the community. So glad to be here. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thanks, Ben. So as part of the introductions, I am Tracy Van Arsdale. I'm a principal and an architect with Bettesworth North Architects. So we have the prime contract for this project, which is really a feasibility study. So we're trying to right size this idea. Right now it's an idea, and we need your good ideas to contribute to it to make it even better. So the borough has acquired or asked us to be participate to lead that. And with me, I have my team members here that I'll introduce here shortly. For tonight, for this first session of sort of an open forum, we're going to present to you where we're at in the process, what were some ideas that we have to share just to get you thinking. And then we're going to ask for your ideas and your comments. So you see some things on your table that we're going to ask you to participate in and leave with us tonight. You can take it with you. You can come back later. We have a website we're going to share, so make sure you can add your comments and spread the word that way. That's going to be the sort of information highway for this project as we move forward. And then we also tonight, I want to acknowledge that we have another whole contingency online, the Zoom invite. So for that, we are asking folks to write in the chat, and we are Abby here with my office is helping monitor that. So we hope to make this really good information for you tonight so that you can understand a bit more where we're at and where we're going and what we're tasked with. So that's the overall agenda. We're going to go over the process, some examples. We're going to go through some polling questions with you, and we'll talk you through how we could see that happening here this evening. And then we have a postcard of the future, and Chris is going to introduce that, but that's also on your table here, and it's also linked into the website. So a few tidbits about the communication of this process. We're not making decisions right now. We are in our discovery. We're gathering information right now. So that's why we really need to have this public forum with all of you. We want to make sure that we hear from you tonight. So please start jotting down your questions, your comments, your concerns on the cards on the table or in the chat, as we will be utilizing all that information and documenting it as part of our process with the borough. So a little bit about our team. Like I mentioned, I'm with Bettesworth North. We are architects, landscape architects, and interior designers and planners. And with us here is Melissa Babb. She might have just stepped out. She's our landscape architect that's helping with land planning and that. I have Abby Elrod, who is our project assistant, helping with logistics and projects support. And then on the slide here, you see a lot of great examples of similar types of facilities. These, you might not recognize any of it because it's none of our work, but you might know some of the projects we have done for the borough, like Bryan Middle School replacement, Morris Thompson Center, the Fairbanks International Airport. And for all of those projects, for many of our projects, we rely on specialists and team members and partners to come in and give us their expertise of what's best practices across the US. And then we apply our local knowledge and make sure it's right and sustainable for our community. So with me this evening, I have Tom Deal. He's with Barry Dunn. They are recreation specialists in the operations side. So Tom will talk a bit about that, but in future phases, as we go through this project, this feasibility study, where there's going to be a lot of numbers and a lot of testing of what is affordable. Can we build now what we can afford to sustain and operate later is the big question. And then with him is Chris Kostelic. He's a partner architect with Perkins and Will. We have worked with Perkins and Will over the years, both on Ryan School. We did Randy Smith School together with them. So Lathrop remodel. So they're a longtime partner for us and we value their expertise. So we're happy to have them back in our community. And I also wanted to mention that Tom and his colleagues were also involved in the Carlson Center study that was done. So these folks are not unfamiliar with our community or working with us. So I'm really pleased to have them a part of our team and working with all of you to make this project happen. So with that, I'll turn it over to the borough. They are our client and we work for them. So Leslie Gonzalez is our project manager.
Thank you, Tracy. Hello, once again, my name is Leslie Gonzalez. I am the project manager for this project with the Fairbanks North Star Borough. I have Brian in the back there representing Parks and Rec, who is kind of my sidekick on leading everybody. You probably heard his name throughout the process. He's well with sports and whatnot. And then my AE over here is Marco Stepovich, who is kind of helping me along with the process, representing the borough. Now, what is the borough task with accomplishing this study? I'm just going to read out a brief summary that you will be able to see on our project website, just kind of how we arrived to this study. So here we go. The Fairbanks North Star Borough consists of a diverse and active population involved in numerous indoor and outdoor sports and recreation activities throughout the year. The borough intends to meet the needs of these in our communities by constructing a year-round multi-use community recreation center that can expand off and provide upgrades to the Big Dipper Ice Arena. This proposed recreation facility may include an additional ice sheet to alleviate overcrowding at the existing facility and an aquatic center to relieve the borough of some of its aging facilities by absorbing some, if not all, of the program functions of Hammy Pool and Maryside Recreation Center. This facility may also include services such as an indoor turf field for field sports, hardware courts for indoor sports, a running, walking track, calisthenic, cardio, and weight training. Can you hear me? Sorry, thank you. Calisthenic, cardio, and weight training equipment, sauna, steam, and spa amenities, an indoor playground and skate multi-purpose space, community center, eating rooms, lease space and concessions, office, medical, athletic related childcare centers to help offset facility costs. Yes, this facility has a lot to offer, a lot of opportunities here. Some exterior amenities may also be taken into consideration. These amenities may include outdoor playground, skate park, basketball courts, a track and field, as well as additional ice rinks. The Fairbanks North Star Borough has issued a design contract with Bettesworth North Architects to develop and complete a comprehensive program specification for a new recreation facility that can expand off the existing Big Dipper. The point of what they are doing as a design team will conduct a marketing research, financial feasibility study, and engage with the public, such as this, through public focus groups and open house sessions to determine merit with the community. With the results, the consultant, along with the steering committee, parameters, develop a detailed facility program specification, a facility operations management structure, as well as a limit site plan, floor plans to illustrate constructability. This will be constructed in a multi-year phase development with priorities created to community needs and community use and ease of phase construction. So not all at once. It's to kind of go into some frequently asked questions, just to kind of resolve a couple of items that you guys already have been asking. I'll turn that over to Donnie to help me out with that.
So with this project, there's always going to be questions. The first one that we've been trying to brainstorm, what are those questions going to be, so we can share some more information with each of you. One of them, of course, is going to be, what is the point of this study? So of course, the goal of this study specifically is to identify the needs for the community and the desires to create a true for what this facility could provide in the recreation and wellness for the community. So then going to frequently asked, and by the way, these FAQs can be found on our website and can be addressed as well through there too. So we'll slide. Second one is, why is the study taking place now? The Borough Assembly included this study in the capital improvement plan, which is we call our CIP, to give us the opportunity to be able to begin the process of trying to find out what is this purpose. And so how can we move forward? Do we want to move forward? Is the of this facility truly something we can accomplish here in Fairbanks? And so next one is, who is paying for this study? At this point, through the capital improvement plan, which is some of our maintenance dollars for the borough. And then also there have been multiple donations that have been made from the community to be able to pay for this feasibility study. Next one is, why this site? And so really, when we're looking at this type of a facility, the goal for Parks and Recreation is to look at a couple of things. Number one, we want to consolidate operations. As many folks know, we have a serious lifeguarding issue. And so if we're going to build a new facility, how do we consolidate this facility and be able to make more staffing efficiencies? And so those are some of the things that we're trying to consider. And this facility, this area would be appropriate for that. This is also right in the middle of one of the largest wellness districts in the borough, between the hospital, between some of the high schools and some of the middle schools, and then also the Dipper there, and many of the facilities that are surrounding it. You know, FYSA's soccer area. Then we've got the football fields. So there's just a lot of opportunities in this space to be able to use this appropriately for everybody. And then one of the last things that I think is truly important is that the land is currently already owned by the Fairbanks North Star Borough. And so that is something we definitely feel is appropriate as well. Next slide, please. Next one is, how will the borough pay for the construction of this facility? At this time, there is no intent to pay for it, as there are no funds for this facility. That's why I said at the very beginning that we really truly are at step one of this whole entire process. Right now, we really want to know, what is it that the community could want, and what is the feasibility of us being able to accomplish that? And so before we set aside funds to build a facility that we aren't sure that we're totally feasibly do, let's find some data. Let's find some input first. And so there isn't actually a format for a construction of that. The next one is, will Hammy Pool and Mary Sy be closing? At this point, those facilities do have some increasing maintenance costs. It's roofs that we have to replace. There's a lot of different pieces to these facilities that are definitely issues that we're very concerned about. And so that's one of the things that we want to be able to look at as part of this feasibility study is, can we build a facility that could take a lot of those programs, amenities, and be able to use that and continue to do those services for the community as well. Next slide. And I believe this is the last one, maybe not. And so what is the difference between the facility we're talking about right now and the goal of the Carlson Center? The Carlson Center has always been and will continue to be an event center. And so whether it be the Foo Fighters or large comedy shows, Comic-Cons, Go Red for Women, those types of events will continue to be held at the Carlson Center, which is its main purpose. The change to the Carlson Center is really focused on how do we continue to have additional services at the facility on a day-to-day basis, whether that be the play zone, the teen zone, or other opportunities like that, basketball during the summer, pickleball, those types of activities. And so we're really trying to really focus though still on that main core piece of the Carlson Center, which is events and large productions for the community. Next slide. What is the name of the new facility? Right now, there isn't an official name. Generally, we do call it the North Star Community Recreation Center, but that could definitely change as the facility is constructed in the future. And last question is, when would this facility be built? And as I've said before, there is no current funds for the structure. Right now, we're just really in step one. What is it that how could we do that? So those are the FAQs that we've come up with at this point. Hopefully that's been able to answer a few of the questions that you might have had about this facility and the work that we're currently doing right now. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Tom Beal. I'm a manager with Barry Dunn, part of the team. I'm going to go over a couple of things with you briefly. Just a quick background. I spent 30+ years managing facilities like this and being a director, and I've spent the last 6 years consulting. So that's the reason that I'm here. We're showing you a project timeline. We just want to briefly mention, as you can see, we're going to be working from a couple of months ago all the way up until October. Right now, we're in the yellow box where we're here doing our public engagement. That's our focus groups. We have 6 more focus groups tomorrow. We've toured all of your facilities in the last day and again today. We have our open house tonight. Shortly after this, we'll be putting together a survey, which we'll talk about in a moment, and we'll be launching a survey, and that's a great opportunity for the community to be involved and provide their feedback. After we do the survey, we'll come back and start developing possible program options and elements and potential spaces. The survey should be launched in late March, and it'll be advertised. There's what's called an invitation survey and an open link. I'll talk more about that in one moment. And then we're going to come back with an open house in May. May 25th is the scheduled date if everything goes well. And at that time, we'll kind of give you an update of what we've learned from the survey and what we think the community is interested in. And then at that time, we'll be working on beginning conceptual designs and so forth, and test site fits, and doing things like the operational cost estimates, the actual potential cost for design and build. And then we'll be coming back in mid-October with a report and telling you what we think. Next slide. As I said, we're going to be doing a survey. There's 2 elements to the survey. One is a invitation survey. A postcard will be mailed to somewhere between 3,000 and 4,000 addresses, households in the borough. If you get that card, there'll be an invitation code and a link that you put into a computer, and that allows you to take the survey. You can also, if you don't want to do it on the computer, there's directions of how you can ask for a paper survey, and then you can fill it out and either return it to the borough and they'll scan it, give it to us, or you can mail it back in. After that survey runs its course, probably 2 weeks after that's been out, the borough will be advertising what's called an open link survey. It's the same exact survey. It's just the data is kept separate so that we have a statistically valid survey with the invitation, but everyone in the community can log on and take the open link survey. And that's really where we're going to get a lot of our information. It's by you taking the survey and telling us your desires and your interests and your concerns, if you have any, and there'll be open-ended questions where you can add comments. We do have a project website, and for those of you that are on chat, we have about 40 people, I think, watching us through Zoom. I've put this project website in the link a moment ago. That is specific to this project. If you go there, you can see regular project updates. There's a calendar of events. There's information. And in a few moments, when we go through this presentation, you'll actually be able to go there and do the postcard. The people in the audience, you have a postcard at your table. The people that are watching us on Zoom will be able to go to that link. How many people in the room tonight have a smartphone or a device with them? If you'd raise your hand.
Does anybody not have one? Thank you. That's perfect. All right.
I think we're ready for you, right?
Excellent. Yeah. Okay.
All right, so before we get into some of the activities this evening, I thought it might be fun for us to think big a little bit, dream a little bit. So I'm going to walk you through some images of other recreation and sport facilities across the lower 48 through the region, just to get the ideas flowing. And then we're going to walk you through a couple activities. There's 100 images. They're not categorized that way. So I'm just going to run those through. They're more just to get your understand the visuals of the activities. Anything we can think of, and then we can start talking about the most high priority activities and the things that we think make the most sense for this community of this size in this locale. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Just talk you through the things that we think are important. A warm welcome. A smiley face to the front door, someone you know, someone that's going to welcome you into the building, help you find your way around, understand the uses. Maybe there's some gathering spaces, social. Maybe we're not coming here to activate. Maybe we're just coming to sit and be with our other neighbors. It should have broad community appeal. However large, however small, it should serve as many people as possible within the range of funding that we think is available. It's not one purpose. It's not single purpose. We have a lot of facilities in town that are very single purpose. So the point here is to think broadly. Just a place to relax, take in the view. Take a look at the action, see what's going on, see what your friends and family and neighbors are doing. And that's important. Buildings that are visually connected, that aren't closed off, that make you want to see the activity, that make you want to be a part of the activity. They should be accessible. Everyone should be able to use them. They should be universally designed. Maybe just comfortable, those creature comforts. I don't know about you all, but I don't know a single person who's comfortable in a locker room. Nobody. So we'll be the first people to design a good, comfortable, usable locker room. These are the activities that we want to talk about. All the things we're doing now, we're doing them pretty well. We might be able to do them better. I'm just going to walk you through some of the activities and other things that we think might help kind of activate this type of facility if indeed it does become a reality. Certainly hockey is big in this community, right? It's no wonder that there's two well-operating, useful facilities. And we'll continue to do that and continue to offer that broad range of uses for that particular user group. I know pools are important. We have 2 pools in the community. And Donnie just kind of went through some of the challenges with those pools. So the question is, are those pools meeting the need? Or are there bigger, brighter, more appealing ways that we can address aquatic needs in a community that frankly has several months of time where indoor pools are probably a wonderful time. So sometimes pools are recreational and they serve a more fun use. Certainly competition and lap swimming is an important aspect. Certainly Hammy offering that now, but maybe it's done in a little more inviting environment. Broad daylight, plenty of glass, plenty of things that bring in light, well thought out buildings. Maybe we think of combination pools. Maybe these pools do a little more than they're doing now. They can expand their usability a little bit and be more effective. Maybe there's fun features we incorporate. and try to think about a broader use. I mean, I know I was taught in a lap pool where my dad tossed me in the deep end and said, swim to the curb. And that wasn't a whole lot of fun for a little kid to learn how to swim, but I learned how to swim. But learning how to swim in a pool like this might be more fun. Those are the things we want to think about if we think about aquatics is can we understand a little bit broader way to tackle that demand? Think about it in terms of those types of uses. And I think it sort of goes beyond this idea that it's all activity driven. It might be fitness driven, aqua fitness, aqua health. This is called a ninja cross, and this lowers down over a lap pool, and it's basically like a ninja warrior course. So I think those are the things we really think about. Lessons, aqua therapy, warmer water, recovery, recuperation, all the great things that warm water does for us. Can't forget spaces like gymnasiums. They're sort of the workhorses of our buildings, right? They can do everything. I've never heard a single recreation director come to me and say, I just have too much gymnasium space. I don't know what to do with all of it. There's not enough people using these gyms in this community. So I think this is something to think about as well. Certainly the schools offer a lot of those, but the challenges between community use and school use, we understand the scheduling challenges and the activity challenges. You know, we have emerging sports. Pretty soon, I think pickleball is going to take over the world. Might be Starbucks, Facebook, and pickleball. It'll be it'll be the end of the world. It'll be the end of things. You know, that's something that's really kind of lacking in a lot of our community spaces. Maybe it's a multi-activity gym. It's not just traditional basketball and volleyball. Maybe it has broader uses. Is that the whistle? Did you fix my whistle?
I hope so.
I think I just developed a list in the last 14 minutes. Maybe it's indoor turf. You know, we think about gyms, and those are great for court sports. And for all those sort of dark winter months of the year, it's great for basketball and volleyball players. What do the soccer players and the football players and the baseball players do when they need that space during the winter? So maybe a turf space makes sense. We'll have to find out. We'll have to ask that question. And then you can broaden that use beyond sports. Maybe it's boot camps and workouts and training and other things. So we like to think about these buildings as really an interior version of what the exterior does for us during those summer months. Being and walking, I imagine that that's probably a huge winter pastime. And finding space to have that. I mean, the Big Dipper has its track, but obviously during events and other times that's not appropriate. So maybe a dedicated track is a more appropriate use. Fitness, you know, just a place to work out, stay healthy and well, maybe have a nice view. Other thing that I think is important is and I think, and we've talked about this in our conversations, you know, something like group exercise, again, a very multi-purpose fitness space that can do a little of everything. There's obviously the private sector offering a lot of fitness and activity uses, but this is really more of an introductory level, right? This is where people come if they want to investigate and really kind of open new programs for health and wellness. And so this is really a feeder to the private sector as we see it. Is what we're all, everything we do these days is about preventative care, right? It used to be, you came to a fitness center, you stared at the CNN, ran on your treadmill, and you went home and felt good about yourself. We believe you should come to a building and feel good about yourself because of what you're coming here for, to stay healthy, to stay well, and do all those wonderful things. You know, maybe there's a little bit of racquetball in the facility. I don't know. Is that something that's still becoming popular? There's a need for some gathering spaces. We have certainly good gathering spaces here, but maybe there are some places to meet, converge. There's a little serendipitous space that can be curated by whatever you want it to be used for. Maybe there's some performance aspect, some food service, kitchens. We think it should be something for all ages, lifelong learning from, as I think Ben put it, that's sort of cradle to grave. This should be a place where everyone finds use. We all stay healthier. We come together as a community. We share experiences and we lead healthier lives. And we're just better for it as a community. So that's really what we search for. Those are the things that we think a great community facility could bring to you. So that's what we're studying. That's what we're trying to accomplish. And hopefully this little kind of walk through, you know, recreation memory lane might be a fun way to do that. I think hopefully some of these ideas will get you thinking as you start helping us kind of visualize some of those uses. So this is where we are going to use those smartphones. Rather than kind of have a big loud discussion here, we'd like you to kind of focus your attention on a couple of really important questions. So this is real simple. We just go to menti.com. It should pull right up with a code access. Yes.
We actually just talked.
This is, we've got some time at the end of the meeting to do that.
It's not gonna
Yeah,
happen.
So we
but
hear what each other are thinking. I don't know what they're thinking.
for now,
Just
we've
on
got
a
an
phone,
exercise.
That's just not it.
Well, we've got 40 other people on the Zoom that are also participating.
With them on the internet.
Yeah, no, sir, I understand your concerns, and we'll get to that conversation. I promise we'll get to that conversation. I just want to make sure everyone is clearly focused on the login and the code. And if you put this code in, you'll be able to see the website questions that come up. We'll launch those, and we'll go through a series of questions, and you'll get to see those populate as we.
I didn't bring my phone. You asked me earlier if I had it, but I didn't bring it with me. I
Okay,
just
well
asked
then,
you
you
a question and answer thing
we,
here.
we can watch how the room populates this, and then we're going to talk about each of those comments for each question. So let me do that. What is it doing? Oh, there it is. Sorry. There we go. So I can just present.
We're already doing it, I think.
Yeah, it's okay. So I'm sorry, it's right at the top. It's 86. It's 86, 94, 38. 308. So is anyone having trouble accessing it? There should be a couple of slots for you to be able to add some of your priority, most important.
And as you look at the screen, you can see people are populating it. And it's live.
I want to put in a whole sentence. Why can't I put in a whole sentence?
Well, we'll have another question where you'll be able to do that. Yep, we've got a couple of these, but as soon as we give people a few minutes to sort of kind of weigh in on this, we're going to summarize and talk about kind of what we're seeing and what we're hearing, and then that'll be our chance to kind of acknowledge what everyone thinks. Yep. And I also want to point out that we do have comment cards in the audience there. So if there is something you really want to make sure you kind of get in front of us so we can talk about here, go ahead and add that to here. Any questions you have, any comments, that's probably the best way for us to make sure that we all kind of have some input in that process.
What's the code one more time?
It's 86, 94, 308. So what first?
Yeah.
That's okay. So back to the beginning. Everybody kind of feeling like they've gotten a few of their one word comments. So as this is starting to kind of populate our goals here, what I'm seeing is affordability is a big desire. Community, I think, I mean, I would hope that after the images we just saw should sort of really tell us what this building is trying to do. Accessible, I'm seeing. I'm guessing from an accessibility standpoint, that's not just access, but also ease of use, inclusive for everyone.
Wellness, I see a bunch of wellness, healthy. I think that's also important to understand that this isn't just a sport facility. This is about overall health and wellness. And I think some of the other big kind of standouts, I see sustainable. That's good to hear. Obviously, something to think about as we design a building. Some of the smaller ones that stand out, I see indoor skate park. Somebody thought that was kind of a fun interest. I see multi-generational, underrepresented. Feels to me like that's probably a question in this community. Are there people who don't feel like that they have access to these types of amenities? It should address the underrepresented in the community. So those are, I mean, I'm seeing some of the standard stuff, swimming, indoor track, family friendly. So
A lot of the themes are also very similar to what we heard in our first 2 focus groups, and we'll compare to what we hear in our next 6.
So if you feel like we'll go on to the next conversation. It just kind of went crazy. So again, this will really help us start to understand where we are as sort of a bench line, right, or a benchmark within the community. So for the next couple minutes, I'd like you to take a look at the second question. It should have come up on your phones. Did it do that? We have a question now that says, what activities or programs?
No, it
So
didn't
this
come
is
up.
really, what are you doing now?
It did
And this
not
is gonna
come up.
come in kind of as a, go ahead, Brian, sorry.
Some people are having trouble. I had to slide my screen down.
Did it ping?
Stop.
Yeah, refresh.
Yeah, slide your screen down and refresh.
You have problems.
Starting to populate.
Yes. And for those of you answering this could be anything. This could be, I like to cross-country ski. I like to take a hike. I like to lift weights. So it's really, we don't want to limit this to just, I play hockey and I swim. We'd like to keep a really good understanding of what you're doing in the community. And that'll start helping us understand what we're thinking about from a planning and programming standpoint.
And again, a big part of what we're going to do with the information is look at it, and it's going to help us to build our survey, which then we're going to ask everybody in the community about.
There was 3 lines. You
There
could write.
there should be a couple lines. You should have a couple options. Yeah, you can keep adding them to it. And we thought about giving you 20 spots to fill in, but then we thought that's just too many. We wanted to kind of consolidate here. So what's the most important things that you do right now?
The results are captured, right? So
Yes, we absolutely do. We absolutely, yeah. So this is basically a data set that we'll then be able to say, okay, based on this group, this was sort of the preferences that we started to understand.
But please understand, because you participated tonight, you need to participate in the survey. That is going to be the bigger data set that we're going to have.
And I will say, and this is probably good while I'm just waiting for everyone to kind of populate. I hope I'm not distracting you from your answers, but this public open house that's coming in end of May, the intent of that is then we have information that's drawn from the survey. We come back and we talk about options for this potential facility. And at that point, I think that's where we begin to start inviting a little bit more concrete and focused conversation. So tonight, it's really about staying very disciplined with both the people on the phone and this group to kind of help guide us to that. So the next open house will be probably a little more interactive because we'll actually have something to show and actually have something to discuss. So this is really just getting us off the ground and getting us started. But what I'm seeing is in some of those larger groups, it's not a huge surprise since you have good hockey facilities in town. Hockey is a high ranking answer from a lot of you. Swimming, again, two long-standing pools in the community. That's not a surprise to see that type of swimming. Competitive swimming also is a pretty big number because, again, I think that's probably what a lot of people are involved in. I see basketball ranking pretty high and pretty large on that list. Walking track and indoor turf. Play because I think, again, that's something we're sort of seeing and hearing. Softball, volleyball. And again, I see those smaller ones kind of sneaking in. Indoor skate park, arts and crafts, ping pong. The second largest ranking sport in the world, just behind cricket, just above rugby.
Ping pong is the second largest
sorry,
recreational
soccer.
sport in the world.
Followed by rugby and cricket. I like that there's some reference to community center, bringing people together. Again, I'm seeing some of these things in here that are kind of interesting. Roller skating, someone.
Oh,
only one
roller
person,
skating.
It's tiny. Probably one person thought roller skating was really important. I'm gonna figure out which one of you it is.
Give you her address. On her way to being 90 years old.
Okay, that's great. I probably couldn't roller skate 5 feet without breaking a tooth, so I don't want to miss any of these, but there's some other ones in there that I want to point out too that I thought were kind of interesting. Music performance, practice space, I would imagine. Racket games, racket sports. So again, I'm guessing that's probably things like pickleball, racquetball. Pickleball didn't come in here. Are we not playing pickleball? Oh, it's tiny.
It's under walking.
Oh, pickleball in yellow. Yeah, I'm not seeing that. Sorry, I'm colorblind. The yellow turns to white for me, so I'm probably the wrong person to be reading this. Daycare. I know my kids make all kinds of fun of me when I look at colors. It's a big joke. Soccer. I could look at these, but I think this is important because it gives you a really nice perspective of what we're doing now. And it's no wonder that what we're doing now is driven by a lot of the current facilities we have. And so that's really leading us to our next question, not what we're doing now, but what do we feel the gaps are and what should we be doing with this community if we had a new center? So I'm going to click the next question. That's okay. So this one's a little more focused, and it's a multiple choice question to hone in on that aquatic question. And let me point out why I'm going to ask this question. Number one, we have 2 existing pools. They're not new, they're not young pools. They're not in their youth. They're definitely kind of on their twilight. But we want to understand, because aquatics is the most expensive thing you can build by $2 to 1. It's also the most expensive thing you can operate. So it's the one thing you have to get right in a building. I'm going to tailor a question just to what do we expect out of our aquatic programs? And that'll help us kind of gauge what we think this ought to be.
So how many can we?
Your most important. You pick one that's most important to you. This one, we're only giving you one because we really want you to kind of focus your thinking. If you choose 5, this wouldn't be much of a.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. Yes.
What would non-competitive labs really get?
So that would be like recreational play features or aqua exercise or water therapy. So if you're going to go water walk, or if you exercise, yep. Competitive lap swimming is traditional swim meets and swim team. Recreational and play features would be just that recreational. We'll call it the water park, the hotel pool, or the resort pool. Gotcha. Yeah. And again, I'm sure there's probably real, little subsets to each of these, but this gives us sort of the general aquatic picture. of the spaces we think about when we design pools. That's almost every, if I'm counting the room and I'm counting how many have entered, there's 39, 45, 46. You get the Zoom for the 40.
Yeah, the people in Zoom are adding their
Oh,
comments
they're adding
too.
to this too, so you're seeing theirs. So it's not just the room, it's theirs. So you're
We're all
probably,
singles.
okay, you're sharing. Sort of. It's a second.
That really is
populate,
such
but
a
it looks
useful
like if
tool.
we,
Everybody
unless
comments
something in
and
the
you can,
last quarter
rate.
changes,
you know,
it looks like that
everybody can see the
recreational
results
pool
right away.
is certainly getting some interest and followed shortly by competitive. What that
Well,
really
this
means
is
in
just the
this
first of
community,
many.
we're sort of
And there's no
recreating
money
competitive pool.
yet for
right?
any of
We've
this.
got
This is
competitive
just like
pools that we're
the
trying to find
beginning
water,
planning.
water activity. And so what this tells me is there's some gaps. There's some gaps in our thinking and some gaps in programming relative to lessons, aqua exercise, and recreational uses is my guess. Probably partly because of the facilities, but partly because our ability to staff those facilities and keep them open and operating, and partly just because of the age, and they aren't state-of-the-art pools. So question for this study to answer, put a pin in that because we'll be probably touching on this pretty heavily, both in the survey and in the next public meeting.
Next question.
Okay.
Okay, I guess I'm gonna be hungry.
So
I have a problem with that, Sebastian, reading.
What?
He doesn't go, he never goes anywhere without a book.
Yeah, that's,
up until this point, we've been pretty focused on indoor discussions and indoor facilities, partly because they're more expensive, partly because they're not in existence. We also want to pull you on outdoor activities. This is a relatively large site. There's a lot of existing outdoor activities, outdoor rinks, there's a track, there's multi-purpose fields. So what should we be planning on outdoors? Because this may not have as much of an impact on cost, certainly has a huge impact on land use. So far, dog parks in the lead. I don't know how that's happening, but see where dog park went.
Dog park just got smaller.
Popped up and, oh no, it's still big. It just changed colors.
Yeah.
It went blue from yellow.
Tennis and pickleball is the biggest at the moment. So you can imagine the range of comments and possibilities we're getting from approximately 70, 80 people between the people in this room and the people on the Zoom meeting. So we're hoping when we do the survey, you know, that we get hundreds and hundreds of responses. And there aren't going to be hundreds and hundreds of activities. It will mean that more people are weighing in and different activities will rise higher above others. And that will help give us an understanding of what to consider.
This is a bit of a not a loaded question, but because the time to use these amenities is somewhat limited, they sort of become that much more important as we start prioritizing outdoor activities and how we could best use them. So, you know, this tells me a lot. You know, the fact that pickleball also ranked pretty high means we're doing that indoors and outdoors. Is it my? I wish I had the ability to influence 80 minds. I don't think that's possible. If it was, I wouldn't be doing this. But I think that's an important one. In tennis, you know, tennis is a biggie, right? I mean, that's right up there again. Court sports. I kind of joked that the dog park was pretty big, but we kind of said, you know, a lot of the trail use in town is dog walkers, and so I think that's not surprising. Artificial turf, I'm seeing that. The ice rink, one of the big questions we have over at Big Dipper is there's 3 existing outdoor rinks. Is that the demand? Is that too much? Is it too little? We need to understand because that's a big amount of area. It's an operational challenge. And so that's something we really want to think about. Pump track.
What is that?
Someone else is gonna have to tell me. I thought I knew.
BMX biking and
Yep.
skateboarding that has little ripples that go like in a circle, and so it allows you to really popular, super fun.
Yeah, there's another sport that's emerging.
Bicycles and skateboards?
Both.
Yeah,
Thank you.
there's a sport called cyclocross that's similar to that, and it's basically kind of like picture like off-road biking on a track or on a course. It's so I think pump track and cyclocross are very similar.
So my head said, what do we already have? And what don't we have? And I'm gonna put down what we don't have or what we have little of. Not that I don't want cross-country skiing, but we've got Birch Hills, so I didn't put that.
That's a
So
logical
I think
approach.
that there's a way to be thinking about this outdoors instead of,
Exactly. And I think that's one of the reasons we kind of teed up that first question. What are you doing now? And the presumption is that if we're doing it now and it's pretty accessible, do we need more of it? I don't want to tell someone they don't need more outdoor hockey rinks if 6 is needed because we have 3. That's not for me to tell you. That's for me to start to understand through a survey. Because again, we have to recognize this conversation is really setting up more of a statistically sort of reliable way of polling 10% of your population, not, no offense. It's wonderful that we all came out to talk, but 70 people are helping us guide the conversation of 35,000. So that's where this is getting. It's getting us toward a survey that pinpoints these activities and uses so we can take it to that next sort of verifiable step. So I think this is good to hear that there's as big of a list of outdoor amenities as indoor, which to me, that was a pretty salient point.
So you made the point of the 35,000 people. You think maybe like people voting in some sort of instead of going through these little group things, like you're talking about money coming from all these people, not getting a very good broad look at who's paying for it, and you need to get their opinion.
We do, and that's really the point.
First, I think you gotta let people know how much you want to spend.
Yeah.
And get their opinion on it.
Yeah, I would agree that the way to do that is to put forth information that's complete enough, correct enough, and accurate enough so that a broad sector of people can weigh in on amenities that are important to them, the benefit they receive from the money they spend. What value do I get from investing in this type of facility? It's the only way to answer this question. We're not going to answer it tonight, but the point here is there's a population of people in the city. There's a broader service area of people that use the city's facilities, the borough's facilities, excuse me. And there's also tournaments, there's tourism. So we're taking this small pond and we're just trying to grow those ripples out, widen the tent and make sure we address those broadest needs. So
Do you have a fourth
Chris,
question?
can we move forward?
yep, I do. So I think we've covered this one. I'll just jump into the last question. That was actually it.
The first one. We never asked the first one.
Oh, no, I did. Yeah, we did all of them. We didn't do what activities you participate in.
Yeah, you didn't do that one. You didn't do the first one.
Let's think that out. So this was really the first question. For whatever reason, they got out of order. So we're going to back up and we're going to ask, frankly, what was probably the first question we asked. What do you participate in now? This will help set up all those other questions. I think your question about I thought about what we already have before I answered what I need. That was sort of the intent of this question. Let's think about what we have in town, what we're doing now, what activities we're participating in now. I get the sense this is a pretty active group. We gave you 3 choices for this question, so hopefully that's enough to capture at least your top 3 activities. If you participate in 20, pick your top 3. I know Ben told me that wasn't enough, but. Oh, okay, even better. Even better. Go to town. So if you could identify activities by one letter, by one word, you've got 250 choices. Softball, disc golf, bit of swimming, nothing because we don't have any that are interesting. Okay, I'll buy that. That's blunt. Walking, see disc golf twice, hockey, swimming, walking in parks, walking, swimming, track and trail walking. Okay. Because they may be duplicates. Yeah. Scrolling.
It's not moving, so.
But there's 44 of you.
Can you help me scroll that? There we go. Oh, it's always something. Nothing goes smoothly as planned. I promise you. Promise. Okay, there. See, I was right. It is an active group. I wasn't wrong. Actually, the real active ones are at home on Zoom. We're all out. Bowling, tennis, music, exercise. I want to hang out with this person. This will be helpful for us because this will help us overlay current facilities, regional activities, things that we do in and outside of facilities. It'll help us understand sort of a picture of community activity. And from that, we'll help overlay that to the needs that you expressed in that earlier question. And it'll help us craft a survey around where those gaps are in offerings. So I think this was, I just out of curiosity, I want to get a sense for you. Was this helpful to get a sense for your group and give us ideas? Okay, because I think we learned a lot. I hope you saw some other ideas from other neighbors and friends and residents that got you thinking about new activities. So this is great. And this will all be at some point consolidated. We'll post this on the website. We'll use this to craft that survey. I see.
Besides us, how many people are?
The number.
There's 35 minus the 5 of us, about 30. Yes, and we'll be using this information to build the survey. So when you take the survey, there'll be a question that's going to ask you, what are you currently doing? And what would you like to do? What facilities do you currently use? What facilities would you like to have? There'll be questions that we ask about potentially how you think it could be paid for. You know, it's a pretty in-depth
How much
survey.
would you be willing to pay is the big question.
So,
The survey will ask.
all right.
You are, but you're an engaged sample, so don't sell yourself short. They could, if it comes to their address, I would hope that a parent would sit down and say, hey, if it came to your address, you guys get to fill that out.
That's a question.
Would your kids be able? the kids
Yeah,
be able
and
to fill it out?
what we'll end up doing is when we talk to the school district, we'll be encouraging them to send out the link to the survey. A lot of times we're able to get the school district to actually encourage their students to take it. So in your own household, you can take the invitation survey once, but then everyone else could take the open link survey. So we're hoping that if you get an invitation survey, you sit down with your family and you answer it as a unit. But
Yeah.
if your kids or you have different, or you and your significant other have different opinions, you could take the open link survey and answer them differently.
The key is that open link, right? And because that's on the website, that'll be accessible to everyone. So everyone can take that. It just will be kept separate from the statistics.
And the link to the survey is not on the website yet because we haven't written the survey. But as soon as it's written, you will be told about it, and then you can click on it and away you go.
Oh, what is that?
In approximately 2 to 3 weeks,
End of this month.
Yeah.
Is the goal. Yeah.
after it gets approved, the postcards have to be printed and mailed, and they take about typically 10 days to get to most places.
Is that going to be advertised, or do people just need to go to the website?
We will be telling the borough when we hear from our vendor that the survey has been mailed and the date we anticipated hitting mailboxes. And then when we get the first couple back, we will let the borough know that we know they've hit mailboxes because we have responses. And then we'll leave that invitation survey open usually for about 2 weeks until most people have responded. And then we will open the open link and we'll promote that and give the borough ways to promote that. And then that usually stays open for 2 weeks or so.
This is gonna sound crazy. Give me anybody that think I can. I'm on the person citizen.
Oh.
This is my personal opinion. Ice rinks to use. Or year round.
You know, I'd love to answer the question, but I think we'd be better making sure we don't give a bad answer to that question. So, I mean, I think it'd be best for us to get some data from the borough and the recreation department, and then maybe post that on the website with some info so that you get a sense for whether that's a higher. I think that's for everyone to understand, right? So I think that's a good question.
So that's one.
Yeah, I just don't answer it wrong, and I want to make sure the answer gets posted so people are to the content.
Do you have one of these flyers?
So,
Do you have one of these?
no, I don't.
If you pick that up, there's an awful lot of information. It might answer a couple of your questions.
I appreciate it.
And Brian's got one right there.
So, like, the community should have more,
I think that's that's like a mission statement for this project.
when you bring something that's already here, it's like,
Yeah. What do we have now and what can we do to improve? So I'm gonna jump into this next exercise because I think there's probably some purpose here. Again, there's these comment cards, if that's a great comment, but what I really want to do to kind of break the mold a little and not get so hung up on what we have and what we think we need. I kind of want to clear the air a little bit. And this is kind of a fun exercise that we like to do at this stage in the process. So imagine yourself 5 years in the future, 10, I don't know, pick a time. And you just visited this new facility we're talking about. Your future self, and you're writing a postcard to a family member that doesn't live here, or even your current self. And I want you to tell them something about that facility that you loved. Was it a new activity, an experience, a character, a quality, whatever it was? Close your eyes. Picture walking through this building and doing something that you love to do. Tell us about it. So just take a few moments. We're going to give you plenty of time to fill these out. As we're doing it, we can discuss it. We can talk about your thinking, or we can answer little questions. We can kind of walk around a little bit. But the key here is I want you to really think about what impact this kind of facility would have on your community. And that's the purpose of this. It's not getting hung up on the details of how many laugh lanes and how many gymnasium courts. It's visceral when you walk through that building for you as a Fairbanks resident. The folks on Zoom, there's a link in the chat to click to the website, and you can fill the same thing in on the website and submit it. So we'll get your same answer. So yeah, we're gonna take about a 5-minute break as you fill these out. We're gonna sit and kind of get prepared for taking that in. So.
And those of you in the audience, you can do it on your phone as well if you wanted to do it electronically. Or if you want to do it at a later time, you can go to the project website and do it.
So I'm gonna go ahead and close out our meeting tonight. Thank you, everybody, for coming out, this evening, participating, and being patient with us as we share our information. If you can leave your table or bring them up to the floor, or you can leave them on the table on the way out, and we will collect them, read through your comments. Our team will be up here browsing around, so if you have any additional one-on-one discussions, go ahead and do that. So thank you for coming out, and keep up with the project website and see what the status is throughout our process. And we'll be reaching out with the community here in the next couple of months and just keep up with the process. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
you. And here's the link to the website.
Please tell your family about the project. Bring them to the webpage.
No, I changed it.
Thank you for the presentation.
Thanks for
I have a
coming.
question.
Of course.
The, oh,